All right, when you're ready.
Good evening, everyone. I want to begin by telling you that my officiating career started in a roundabout way with Ronnie Baines and my wife, April. Back when April and I were dating at Auburn, she was friends with Ronnie's daughters. One night, Ronnie was working a Monday night football game in San Francisco. I remember April saying, "How cool is it that Mrs. Baines gets to go to San Francisco?" Fast forward about 10 years, we were at our house with our two little girls sitting in my lap. I was juggling business travel and community work. A public service commercial came on the television. "If you want to be a football referee, come to the Red Cross building Sunday night at 6 p.m. April looked at me and said, "You should go. You'd be good at it." She was thinking she would end up in San Francisco like Mrs. Baines. I was thinking I would spend my Friday nights at Huntsville High, something I like to do anyway. As you all know, we were both wrong. But I did fall in love, first with high school football and then with officiating. It was not easy at the beginning. I grew up in Huntsville and figured I would walk into that first meeting knowing half the room. It turned out I knew exactly two people, Huntsville High guys Tommy Locke and Paul Daly. Everyone was polite, but I was basically ignored. That first week when Hall of Famer Ray Gargis read out the assignments, my name never came up. I realized I was going to have to earn everything. The next week, I received a Monday afternoon junior high game about an hour away from Huntsville. I was nervous. I turned to the guy I did not know and asked, "Do y'all not have jobs in this room?" From then on, there were many afternoons where I wore my uniform to meetings. My bosses and customers learned to take it in stride. Looking back now, the thing I treasure most is the friendships. I learned so much from Ronnie Baines. I enjoyed teaching state camp with Ron Craddock, Fred Cody, Tim Rutledge, Ray Lindsay, and Jim Boatler. My old Auburn friend Bob Shoulders gave me a hard time about everything, but it absolutely made me better. I was petrified of Ray Gargis yelling at me, but I respected him deeply. Jeff Hillier and Mark Jones were a tremendous help when I switched to the referee position, and I appreciate their wise counsel. My Huntsville friends and local friends David Bell, Mark Werwine, Will Raisley, Randy Mummert, Jason Elin, Willis Jackson, Eric Green, so many others, Tracy Goodwin, they kept me going for years. They've always had my back. And guys like Steve Marlowe and Phil Davenport were great role models when we were all teaching together and working our first state championships. I'm incredibly proud of everything they have accomplished at the highest levels of college football. And then there are the games, some unforgettable for very different reasons. One night in the 1990s, Bradshaw was playing Lee at Goldsmith Schiffman, which sits right in our neighborhood. I lived in Old Town, so I decided for some reason to walk to the game. It was a huge mistake. The Bradshaw coach was disqualified. He refused to stay in the locker room. He watched the game from outside, was spotted, the game was forfeited. The Bradshaw crowd rushed the field. An administrator yelled at me, "Run, Mark, run." And I ran all the way home like Forrest Gump. I slammed the back door, looked at April, told her not to open the door in case they followed me. I told her to call the police if anyone showed up, and I would to be in the shower. And then there was the 2006 Prattville-Hoover championship game with Hall of Famer Don English as a referee. MTV was filming two-a-days. Our children and their friends thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever done. And there were 40,000 people at Legion Field, and Prattville pulled off the upset. It was an unforgettable atmosphere. And then came the most surreal game in my career, the 2020 Class 7A state championship, Auburn versus Thompson at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Auburn was ahead by 9 with the ball and less than a minute remaining. Auburn fans were celebrating. Thompson fans looked heartbroken, and we were simply trying to finish the game cleanly. In the final 18 seconds, Thompson scored on a blocked punt, recovered the onside kick, drew 2 legitimate pass interference calls, and kicked the winning field goal as time expired. For a moment, we just stood there, trying to process whether what we had seen had really happened. Back in the locker room, as they were taking all my comm gear off, I remember Mark Jones saying, giving me the old Bear Bryant line, "You better have been right." And that is the standard. That is what this avocation demands of us. We need to get it right. We need to set a good example for the players, for coaches, for fans, and for the officials coming behind us. I'm very grateful for every friend, every mentor, every lesson, and every game. Officiation was great training for becoming a politician. I have very thick skin and am considered the most yelled at person in Huntsville. I deeply appreciate my wife April and our girls for allowing me to do this. When the girls were little and cheerleading for recreational teams, I would often referee those games so I could be with them. I cannot thank them enough or tell them how much I love them.